welcome to a Transport Evolved live stream. This is your April channel update. I do hope that you are well and you are having a great day. We are going to try and do this on a monthly basis. If you are a Patreon supporter, you will already see a Patreon channel update. We're going to try and do that at the beginning of every month. And because Patreon supporters are putting their money where their mouths are in a metaphorical kind of way, they sometimes get access to more behind the scenes information than I would necessarily broadcast on the live streams that I'm going to make public. You will notice that the channel has comments enabled. Before people get really excited, that is not because we have decided to re-enable comments. In fact, comments are going to stay off because this is a live stream, and traditionally we tend to have trouble after the event. We've made a calculated decision on this occasion to make the live stream comments enabled. However, we're not going to reinstate the comments. We've got lots to kind of cover today. Some hints at some of the videos that we've got coming up, also some information about how you go about supporting the channel and where we're at there. And I feel like maybe the first place that we should start is by talking to you about kind of the comments. And some of you have been asking, I know that there's quite a long kind of question thread from people saying, why did you turn the comments off? I don't want to rehash that. We've already done a live stream about that. But the too long didn't read is that honestly, it was affecting us quite dramatically. And I know that there are people who are saying, yes, but you should ignore the haters and don't be weak and don't let it get to you. But the reality is, as a team of queer content creators, the amount of attacks that we have seen in recent months, before we turned the comments off, it really did skyrocket. And we were spending a couple of hours tackling really terrible comments on a regular basis. People threatening to disclose where we lived, people making threats against us, people being really absolutely abysmal towards the team in the comments. And that doesn't do anybody any good. And while there are lots of people who say, yes, but you're trampling on our First Amendment rights to say what we want. No, this is not a public square. YouTube is not a public square. It is a privately owned platform owned by Google. And we have the ability as content creators to turn our comments on or off as we so deem fit. So I know we are starting a little bit early. I do appreciate those of you who are like, wait, you said you were going to start at 1:15. We were going to start at 1:15 and we started early, and I do apologize for that. So yeah, we've decided to keep the comments off. We as a team have felt a lot happier since the comments have been turned off. And, this isn't just a case of people saying horrible things. People saying horrible things to you. Yeah, you're right. If someone says, Nikki, you're a silly sausage and I don't like your glasses, that's very different to your name will be added to the list. Or we had people commenting downright Nazi slogans at us, white supremacist stuff at Kate, anti-trans stuff at both myself and Kate. And it just wasn't a nice place for us to be, especially in a country where Transport Evolved is now illegal in about 1/2 of America. Just think about that right now, right? If you're watching this with children in some parts of America, we are now technically illegal. And that has had a massive impact on the psyche of the team. Some of the legislation that's happening in the United States right now. And it's something that I don't want to dwell on, but it's something that the team has experienced, profiling that we've experienced going through, security points at airports. I regularly get hassle from people at Portland, of all places. Kate has been profiled before when we've been road tripping, because of the color of her skin. It's quite, it wears you down. How about that? And so we didn't want to welcome comments because we don't want to have to deal with that on a daily basis. And when someone is just saying mean things to you, that's one thing. But when someone is saying mean things to you that are connected with legislative attempts to make you or people you love illegal, or to try and make your life difficult, it really is not very good. And I'm speaking from personal experience. Earlier this year, I had a doctor here in Portland, Oregon, who refused to allow me to continue medication that I was on because she didn't agree with me being on that medication, because she didn't agree with who I was. And this is someone who, I've lived half my life now. I'm in my 40s, more than half my life now as me. And this person had a problem with me and decided to make it, because they were in a position of power, a difficult situation for me. And so we don't welcome that here at our channel. We just want everybody to focus on cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter vehicles, equitable, safe, sustainable, accessible transportation. But we also want everybody to behave in a manner that is appropriate and kind and caring and community building, rather than singling out a group and saying you're bad because my religious book tells me that is true. And that's kind of where we're coming from here. So that's why we turned the comments off, and we've all enjoyed not having the comments on. I'm reading the comments. I'm not going to necessarily interact with you. Thank you for the kind words most of you are saying here, and I had no doubt that here in a live stream, some of you would be saying what you were saying. However, kind of related to that, I want to kind of send up a warning flag here, right? A lot of people have been asking, and the answer is I don't know what the future of Transport Evolved is relating to US politics. Now, obviously, right now, the team are based in Oregon and Washington State. We've got team members in both states, and both of those states are very supportive of LGBTQ folk and have some good policies in place. In the case of Washington, they've just enacted a sanctuary law, and so that's really, really good. And so as a team, as content creators here in Oregon and Washington, we feel kind of safe at the moment. But the political rhetoric in the United Kingdom and the United States just keeps on ramping up. The UK, they're talking about putting bathroom bans in effect. Here in the States, a lot of Republican politicians are talking about banning trans people from existing through various means, whether it's making it very difficult for them to gain access to healthcare, as is the case now in Missouri, or will be in a week's time, basically making it impossible through a complicated process that no person would be able to attain, effectively banning care for transgender individuals. Some politicians are running on that when they're running for president in 2024. So depending on what happens in 2024 and the lead up to that tells me what we will do as a channel. If at any point this channel becomes life-threatening to the team, we will shut down. And at the moment, that's not the case. We are supported, we are loved, we are appreciated. But I know that talking to a lot of people who are outside the LGBTQ community, they don't realize that this is going on. They don't realize that there are US states right now that are considered high risk for lots of people. I think that's probably the best way of putting it. So let me just show you this page that I was going to show you here. Just bear with me. I didn't have the screen sharing active because I didn't have the window ready that I wanted to share. So this is the current situation in the US right now. This here is a map of the US. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit on this. This is a list of some of the states in the US, and ignore some of my my thumbnails or my stuff at the top here. This is an old browser that I've put in incognito mode, and it's put a whole load of old bookmarks in it. But this is a map of the US right now, and the states that are listed. The darker the red, the more dangerous it is for individuals like myself and Kate and other members of the Transport Evolved team and people that they care about. Some of those deep red states have outright banned various elements of healthcare for individuals like myself, and others are looking towards that and enacting bans, sometimes in the auspice of protecting children, but very often now it's just coming downright, no, we don't want those people anywhere near us, thank you very much. So the blue states on this map are the states where it's the opposite, where it's safe, where it's considered okay for you to be. And the reason we are bringing this to your attention is that there are now a huge number of US states where it's simply not safe for the Transport Evolved team to go. Because, something simple as visiting the bathroom could land you in jail, or just existing in the US. And so, or in a particular state. Florida is a good example. I wouldn't be able to go into a bathroom in Florida. And if I was in the bathroom and a child came in, even though I'm quote unquote anatomically correct for the women's restroom, it could still lead to my arrest and conviction of a nasty crime. So there are lots of places in the US that are no longer considered safe for the team or members on the team. And I should point out here that not everybody at Transport Evolved identifies as trans, but we are all members of the LGBTQ community in one way or another. And so we all feel very strongly and very passionately about this. So I hope you can see where this is going. There are a lot of electric car factories in the southern part, the southern states, right? Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia. These are all places, Kentucky, where there are factories where automakers are now currently based, and where it just wouldn't be safe for me to go, and it wouldn't be safe for other team members to go. And so very often we are told about launch events, and we are invited to launch events that take part in these dark areas, and we have to turn around and say, we're really sorry, we can't go. Last year, we actually turned down a Ford F-150 Lightning launch event, which was taking place in Texas, for this very reason. We no longer felt safe. I know we as a team went to Texas in 2020, but we no longer felt safe. We no longer felt that we had the legislative backing to stay safe. And I should point out here, I could probably go to any number of those states that are dark red, or any numbers of the team, many members of the team could, and we'd be fine. The probability is that 80-90% of the time you would be fine. And there are some amazing people in those cities who are supportive and allies and amazing. But all it takes is that 10-20% of people who decide that they have a problem with you, who get law enforcement involved, and then you're in a problem because laws are being broken and you can be in trouble. And so that is why that's why we are doing what we are doing, and why we are saying what we are saying. And so that means our ability to attend launch events is severely curtailed. We have a car this week on loan that has Texas license plates on it, and that was the first thing that I spotted. Like, well, I couldn't drive that where it's from. And it's a very kind of it's a very frustrating and very scary situation to be in. And there are lots of allegories being made right now to what happened in Europe at the turn of the previous century. And I think you can see where this is going. So we are only capable right now as a team of visiting Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and then a bunch of the East Coast states, with the exception of New Hampshire, because New Hampshire is special. But you get the idea that this severely restricts our travel. The big, massive cross-country trip we did a couple of years ago, that wouldn't be possible anymore. Even the towing to Colorado that we did last year, no longer really safe or possible. And I should point out, we did have some issues last year in Utah. There weren't big ones, but there were definitely moments when I'm glad that I had Michael with me, because otherwise I would have been, I would have felt very vulnerable and very scared. So, what does that mean for you all? Well, that means that you're going to see less official events from us, less official launch events, and more car reviews and more stuff that we do that might be off the beaten track. And in some ways, it's been quite nice. So we're going to be traveling down to California in a couple of weeks' time. We're driving because it's a day's drive away, and it's just about the same cost to take 3 days, drive, take the truck, take all the things we need to get a really good video and drive back than it is for us to fly. Obviously, we flew to the UK recently to film, and we've actually been invited to kind of like to Michigan and Minnesota for something. I don't know if we're going to go. Obviously, we'll fly to that because of the aforementioned not safe to drive through those red states. And so I guess I'm apologizing to some of you. We won't get to cover a lot of the stuff that other channels do. But we have to look after our team as a whole. And I especially want to look after my team. I want to make sure that my team is safe, that they are healthy, that they do not feel threatened at any point, and they're not at risk of bad things happening to them. And that is one of the reasons why we have that policy that we do now. I know a lot of people would call it woke and other nasty things, but honestly, at the end of the day, this is no longer about political standpoints when actual laws are being passed to make you illegal or to challenge your existence. You learn to stay away from those places. So that's the first thing I wanted to kind of give you a head up for. But the flip side of that, the real flip side of that, is that we are now in a situation where we are starting to do some really cool things. A good example of that was our recent trip to the UK, and thank you to Joe and everybody else at WAE Technology. It was, Technologies, even WAE Technologies. It was great to meet everybody there. We had an amazing trip. That was covered by WAE Technologies, but we retain all editorial control of all of the content we've produced. I've actually been working on the second of those. I think we filmed 4 or 5 videos. Don't quote me on it. One of them is not going to be released for a long time because it's under embargo, and we can't do anything until the news item that relates to that thing drops. But that will be coming. We've got a couple of things from WAE Technologies. We've got a walk around. We've got an interview still to come, which I'm really excited about. And then, as I say, there's that interview that I can't tell you anything about right now because it's still under embargo. We've also got some more videos from our recent trip to California, talking to some charging station providers. That's going to be really interesting if you are looking at accessibility, diversity and inclusion. Those things are really important, especially in the electric vehicle world. And so we are really pushing forwards. We've got some great videos. Kate has spearheaded a lot of those that are going to be coming in the next couple of weeks, or maybe a month or so. Later on today, I'm going to be filming an unboxing, all being well, weather being well, and this video not overrunning too long. We've got a new electric bicycle to review. It's not an electric bicycle that's like everything that we've covered in the past. It's a non-fat bike. We are super excited. We've sat on this bike now for about 3 months. The company that sent it to us are being very patient. We've just been in and out of the office so much. I think from the middle of March through until last week, it was away, film, back. a couple of days in the studio, out, film, back. In fact, it started at the beginning of March. We had I was away for the Nissan Aria E-Force. We drove that, and I filmed that during a weekend. Came back. The day after we came back, we had the EV6 GT on review, which we reviewed. The next week, we were down in California filming all of these car events, and the weather was terrible, and we had problems with hotels and all kinds of things. So it was a really tough trip for everybody. We came back. We had 5 days back in the office, and then Michael and I flew to the UK, and we came back last week. So it has been backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And so we do have some really cool stuff to show you there. Also, we do have an update coming on the Ford home integration system. I'll let you into a little secret. I think it's got something to do with the way that the home integration system connects to the outside world when there is a power cut, and the fact that this system, like most systems, are designed and tested, I would assume, in suburban environments where there's a good cell phone signal and everything works well. And we have a terrible cell phone signal up here in the mountains. And so I think what happens is when the power goes out, one of our local internets craps out, to use a technical term. The Starlink is flaky at the best of times, and so it doesn't work always. And I suspect that the system turning on is more dependent on whether the truck can talk to the charging station, and the home integration system can talk to the server, which then talks to Ford's server, which then talks to the truck and checks everything's okay before everything can start. It's very convoluted and very complicated. I don't want to preempt that video, but that's going to be a fun one. We also have a video coming on our span panel. A review on our span panel. Our span panel is a little poorly right now through no fault of our own, no fault of spans, just a quirk, I think, of the software update or something. So we're going to be filming an update on that, but someone's coming tomorrow to look at that and get it running. We also have a car on review this week from an automaker that has been making EVs for the better part of 20 years, on and off, if you get my drift. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. A car company that we haven't been able to get anywhere near the vehicle before. It's here. We're testing it. Michael's out filming with it today. Gorgeous day. He sent me some of the shots that he's been filming. Amazing stuff. So we'll be filming that, which is going to be good. And then we've got loads of studio stuff as well. 10. We're going to be working on 10 as a podcast. It's something that we actually did a super secret 10 podcast last week. We're going to try and do another version of it tomorrow. We're having some difficulties getting it synced. And it's been about 15 years since I last submitted a podcast for approval. So that's going to be working. That's going to be happening. And there's talk of us doing a Monday podcast as well. But that's going to impact our ability to make other content. So I'm on the fence right now. I know Kate's kind of keen. I know Erin's really keen, but we've got to try and make sure that this works. And recording a podcast requires a lot of equipment to do it well. It's not just one person. You've got multiple people. I am an audio nerd, so I want to try and make sure that the audio quality is really good at all times. So that's something else that we're going to be doing. Yes, Aaron said, I'd prefer a closed system that doesn't rely on a cloud system. I totally agree. That is super, super important. There is one thing that I'm now going to do that I said the thumbnail kind of hinted at, and that is, how do you set up for a Discord channel? So won't you join me and I'll explain how to do it. So on the Transport Evolved YouTube channel, in fact, if you go to youtube.com, Transport Evolved, and you click on any of the videos that we're working on right now. If you haven't watched one about the Bolt EUV, you definitely should. It's a Bolt EV and a Bolt EUV. If you look in the description here, it gives you a link to join the Discord chat room. You see it right there? So you have to click on that and you can go to Discord. Now, you'll need to create a Discord account. Let me go here. You'll need to create a Discord account. And what you do is you sign up for Discord, email address or your phone number. You can do it either way. Give it a password, go through the verification process, and then you're left with a window like this, okay? And after you've gone through the capture and everything else. Now, I made this. This is not an actual... This is me making a fake Discord account so that I can talk you guys through it. So what we do, I'm going to have a cup of tea really quickly. So what you need to do here is you go to this little button here on the left-hand side here. It says add a server. So you click on that and you can create your own, and these are the different server types you can have. And if you already have the invite, which I hope that you copied from that video description, you click on join the Mastodon server. You're going to paste that Mastodon link. Okay, and then you're going to hit join. And then you'll be in the Transport Evolved server. And one of the things that a lot of people say, oh, right, well, I joined the server and then I didn't see anything. You see announcements, verification, and then there's an archived channel for Tesla. We got rid of our Tesla channel because we felt it was unfair to everybody else if there was just a dedicated Tesla channel. So we just put Tesla into North America. Anyway, for verification, you have to sit here in the chat room for 10 minutes, and you'll see there's this little thing in the corner here. You see this countdown timer here? This is not Mastodon. This is Discord. Sorry. I know there is a Mastodon window here as well. So just to confuse you all, you can join Mastodon. We would love you to join Mastodon. But you can also join Discord. And Discord is like a chat room. It's like the old, a bit like a modern version on a bulletin board. How about that? Except it's real time. You can chat to people and people can chat back to you. Hello, YouTube. See, Monstead is watching here in the chat room. Now, normally, and Anonymous Freak. Now, normally you will see us here, and there's a time limit. When this time limit cuts down to 0, you can actually type in that chat and say, hello, I'm here. I would like verification. And then someone on the team will actually add you to the Discord server and verify you. Now, the reason we go through this verification is that Discord in the past has had issues with bots, spam bots, and all kinds of other things. And so this is just really trying to make sure that everybody is properly set up. Looks like someone else has just joined up. So apparently someone has removed my timer. Hello, this is Nikki. Please let me in. And in a second, someone on the team will verify me. And then look, we've suddenly got all of the different chats, all of the different topics here on the left-hand side. So we've got one for general, we've got one for show, we've got tech nerds. So if you are doing kind of tech stuff, we've got a behind the scenes, we've got show corrections, which I love. So if we screw up on a show, you can just throw it in there and someone from the team will go, oh yeah, well spotted, or well spotted, we will fix. It's actually meant for the team to post corrections, but very often people correct us, which I like as well. We've got a D&D. We've got a D&D room as well. A lot of people who watch the channel play Dungeons and Dragons or similar turn-by-turn role-playing games. So roll for initiative, maybe? We've also got the American EV, European, Asian, plug-in hybrids, 2 wheels, 3 wheels, chargings, EV startups, used EVs, and EV conversions. There's a whole section here on energy. And you can join this, and everyone is really nice. If there is somebody being particularly obnoxious, you can reach out to one of the admins and they will help you out. What you can also do is there are Patreon channels. So if you are a Patreon member, you get access to special channels based on your level of support. So that is really easy to do. if you have a Patreon account, when you sign up for Patreon, one of the things it will do is it will say, what is your Discord account? And you can say if you don't have one. But if you do have one, you can just tell Patreon, hey, this is my Discord account, and it will automatically add. If you are a Patreon supporter and you're coming to Mastodon and you haven't automatically told Patreon what your Discord channel is, there are ways that we can help you out and fix that. So that is how you go about setting up your own Discord membership to the Transport Evolved Discord server. And a lot of people are going to go, hey, look, someone just signed up for the plugged in level. Oh, look, thank you very much. So this is the plugged in level of the chat room. It now, like, so if you are a plugged in supporter, this is like an extra chat room that you can sign up for. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Anonymous Freak. Go ahead and nuke me, Anonymous Freak, or boot me from the server. I don't think I need to be in here right now. I can sign out of that now. Don't boot me. Don't boot my actual account. I just realized, boot that test account, because otherwise I won't be able to get access to my own server. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing I want to show you is Mastodon. Okay. So Mastodon is like an alternative to Twitter. That Discord Ting portion. Oh, if you are supposed to be on there, talk to Anonymous Freak or one of the other mods on there, and they will help you out, I'm sure. I can't do it right now because obviously I'm live streaming. Mastodon, for those who don't know, Mastodon is a social media network. So this is mastodon.green, which is a good server if you are into EVs and you're into sustainability and whatnot. Is there a YouTube member channel? There isn't, but I'm sure we could actually make one, Dakoz. What a really good idea. Honestly, if you are a YouTube channel member, reach out to us with your Patreon, with your YouTube channel ID and your connection. I think we can probably connect it that way. I don't think there's anything automatic. But if you are a YouTube channel member and you can tell us your YouTube channel name, then we can just manually add you to the relevant list based on what your level of support is. And you can go in with everybody else in the Patreon. It's done by your level of support. So it should be pretty easy. So Mastodon. It's the other thing we talk about a lot on the channel. And one of the reasons why we're doing this is because a lot of people are like, hey, I would love to know how you go about joining Mastodon. So Mastodon is a bit like Twitter. But instead of being full of alt-right, nasty people and conspiracy theorists, I just made my wife laugh in the other room, it's a community federated network. So because it's federated, it means that Mastodon doesn't have one single owner. So the whole issue with Twitter, obviously, used to be a publicly traded company. Elon Musk came along and purchased it. He became kind of the god at Twitter. He is the sole owner-ish. I mean, there are people who he's borrowed money from, but there are people who obviously he's in control, right? So what he says goes, and if he wants to remove blue check marks and then charge people for it, he can do that because he owns Twitter. Mastodon is not owned by any one person. It is a federated network of different communities that have all agreed to work together on this same communication protocol that goes between different Mastodon servers. Now, the difference between it and, say, Twitter, where on Twitter you are following individual people, that's how you spread your network. Mastodon works a lot more towards hashtags. So using the little pound sign or the sharp sign if you're a musician, you can search for those sharp signs and then you will find the topics that you're interested in. And from there, you can then follow individual people, whether on your server or other servers, who have things that you want to listen to, right? So you can be on here. I don't think Mastodon Green would be syndicated to us. Here we go. Mastodon. So this is mastodon.green, Transport Evolved Official. I can click on that and it will take us to the official Transport Evolved Mastodon account, and it lists our individual work accounts, so we can see what has Michael been doing. Beanie Cam, he is so the last thing that Michael posted was a teaser shot of me at CTAC International working, and it's some photos that he's shared, right? So he's being silly in the studio. You'll also get things from me talking about some of the things that I've been up to. So this is where I'm at, right? So this is my threads, and I should point out I have 2 Mastodon accounts. So there's the Transport Evolved A Minor Journey account, and then there's my own personal A Minor Journey account. And my personal A Minor Journey account is on tech.lgbtq. You don't need an account on tech.lgbtq to follow me. You just have to know what my Mastodon address is. So in the case of this one, it's a minor journey at mastodon.transportevolved.com. Let me zoom in here so you can see it. All right. So that is my Mastodon address. If you get your own Mastodon account, you create your own Mastodon account after you've chosen the server you wish to go through. And Cecilia came up with a really great analogy. It's a bit like your ISP. There are different services, but they can get you to the internet, but they also have a few local perks. And you can follow us through there, right? So once you've got your Mastodon account, and you could create an account here on mastodon.green. I'm not saying you need to go to mastodon.green, but some of them, this is a paid one, right? So some of them you have to pay money for. And this one is a paid system. And these are the things that you can't do on that server. And when you join that server, you agree to abide by the rules of that server. There are some others that are open. I would recommend that you find a server that appeals to your interests. So if you are a nerd, look for a nerdy Mastodon server. If you're into retro computing, another good one here is bitbang.social. Whoops. I think it's bitbang.social. There we go. So bitbang.social is a retro computer themed Mastodon server. You can post about other things, but it's hosted by the fantastic Action Retro, aka Sean from Action Retro. This is his account. He is a YouTuber as well. These are some of the things he's been up to. And you can sign up and create an account with his, and you can follow anybody on the Mastodon federated network, as long as the servers are allowed to talk to one another. Sometimes you'll find servers that don't let you follow people from certain servers, but that's usually if that particular server is known for racism or homophobia, or it's not a particularly pleasant place and you wouldn't want to take your mother there. But for the most part, the servers talk to one another and they share data and information, and you can talk to other people online. I think I think that's a fairly good way of explaining it. Something a lot of people have said is, why can't we go here? So why can't I go to mastodon.transportevolved.com? Why can't I sign up here? Well, you'll see that at this location, you can't create an account on our server. And the reason behind that is that everybody who works at Transport Evolved has an account on mastodon.transportevolved.com. It is a server that we own. And the reason is that one of the kind of core principles of the federated network of Mastodon is that if you are a business and you're selling something, and we are effectively selling ourselves, our content, you have your own server that is tied to your company's or your channel's domain name. And that is a way of proving to other people that you're authentic, that, you know, when I'm sending something from mastodon.transportevolved.com, it's me in my work capacity saying something about the world of cleaner, greener, safer, or smarter vehicles or an associated. Sometimes I do accidentally retweet things or retoot things, as they call it on Mastodon, but normally I realize pretty quickly and remove it and then go over to my personal account and put it there. So that is how you do it. If you are interested in my personal one, lgbt.a minor journey. Let's see if this works. So this is my personal one, right? This is my personal Mastodon account. My name's Nikki, and this is my personal Mastodon account. If you're looking for my work account, head to this address. I'm a former professional iBoss turned automotive journalist, and I'm the owner of @show. That's the show at transportevolved.com, and then some other stuff about me. Okay, so that's my personal account. So if you want to follow me as a person, follow me here. If you want to follow me with my Transport Evolved hat on, go to the other server. And Transport Evolved shows some of the things that's going on right now. It doesn't have a whole lot on it because it's a small server. So if I go to local, this is the local timeline for Mastodon. This is Kate. She's working on some stuff here. And you can edit your toots as well. This one is from Michael. Back into the office today. I'm adding a bin to our stock room for TSA logs, which we seem to go through like candy. Yeah, when we went to the UK, we lost 3 of these. They were just, it just drives me up the wall and down the other side. So these are locks that you can put on your luggage, and they're designed to keep your luggage safe. And obviously we travel with literally tens of thousands of dollars of equipment. If you haven't seen one of these before, they're really cool. You kind of lock. This one's actually broken because I think this one was sent to the UK and didn't survive. But you can lock them like that, right? And then you can just put them on your stuff and lock them so that, oh, there you go. You can lock them so nobody can, oh, maybe this one was not actually properly set. Let's see. I don't even know what the code is for this one now. So maybe I won't lock this one, but you can lock it. You can set your own code, and then it's got a little keyhole on the back here so that a TSA or security agent can get in and open your case and make sure there's nothing explosive or nasty or illegal or illicit in there. Unfortunately, every time we fly, we lose at least 2, and we lost 3 or 4 on this trip. We took, I think, six bags of camera equipment with us to the UK, and we're kind of glad we did because we lost some of our stuff. But anyway, that is that is kind of the 50,000-foot view on Mastodon. So when we say, hey, follow us on Mastodon, you now know how to do it. We say, hey, follow us on Discord, we now know how to do it. The other thing that I would love you to all do is to go here, is to go to patreon.com/Transport Evolved. And the reason being that we would really love your support. So since the start of this year, Transport Evolved, along with pretty much every other long form video creator on YouTube, has suffered a massive drop in income. And when I say a massive drop, we are down, I think we're down 60 or 70% on where we were this time last year for April, at this point in April, in terms of ad revenue on YouTube. YouTube used to, we used to bring in $4,000, $5,000, sometimes even $6,000 a month in revenue from YouTube, from ads placed on our streams that we had no control over, but in ads placed on our streams. And now it's down well below between 1 and 2 now on most months, and that's really impacting us and what we can do. So we would really love you all to support us on Patreon. Patreon is a way that you can choose $1 a month, right? It's right here, electrons, and people really do there are an amazing number of people who support us from just $1 a month, and it really makes a difference. And you also get a discount if you pay annually. So like $1 a month is a ridiculously small amount to pay to get great quality content. I mean, you wouldn't be able to get like a streaming service for that amount of money. The more levels you have, the more perks, the higher the perks. And a lot of people tend to opt for the charged up. That means you get your names in the credits when our credit system is working properly. And if another couple of hundred people, we currently have 1,500-ish Patreon supporters who are amazing, by the way. Thank you. If we had like another couple of hundred people sign up for either the plugged in or the charged up level, we would be able to do so much more, and we'd be able to afford to do so much more. This year, we need to back up our servers. I haven't talked about this publicly, but Kate Walton-Elliott has a server at her house that she uses to back up her stuff, and then she brings drives down to me, and I put it on our big server, which I wish I had a camera to show you. We have a server closet literally the other side of the stairs, and it's got a 45 drive server in, which we've covered on the channel before. If you haven't watched the channel for very long, go back, you'll see it. We have a 45 drive server which currently has, I think, 300 and some TB of data, not terabytes, TB. Don't ask me why. Nerd stuff. We are running out of space on that server, and we're going to have to buy some new 20 terabyte hard drives, or maybe 22 terabyte hard drives. Now we have to buy them in blocks of 5 because that's how that system works. You need 5 drives. You put them together into the server in a what we call a VDEV, and then that VDEV allows you to then connect stuff together. I'm going to shut this door. One sec. I just realized the door had blown open. We have dogs, and they open doors, and I'm sure one of the dogs will open the door, but Ghost, our oldest border collie, he's actually being really good right now. Anyway, those hard drives, we need 5 20 terabyte hard drives. We have to buy them in groups of 5. We really could do with 10. They're like $200-300 each. We put them in the server, and then we're good for another 8 months to a year of footage. When we go to places like we just got back from the UK, we use these little puppies here. They are called SSDs. I'm sure you've used these before, but these are special SSDs. They're not really special SSDs. They're ones that work with our cameras. We just slot them in and plug in our cameras to it. And like this week, Michael's off filming the car we've got on loan. He'll come back and he'll have 3 or 4 of these completely full with B-roll footage. And one of the reasons why our channel has such good video quality is because we shoot all of our videos, most of them, with the exception of the one we filmed in the UK when I was at the charging station. We film most of our videos on really good computers. Oh, sorry, really good computers, really good cameras. And then we edit them on really good computers to try and make sure that the audio quality and everything else is really good. And that takes up a lot of space. We keep all of that raw footage. We also keep all of the footage that is made available to us by automakers. And this week, when we were filming, when I did that video on the Bolt EV and Bolt EUV, I needed to look back. I'm sorry, it's too hot in here. Do that. Let's just get the airflow flowing. I did a little video on we did that video, and I wanted to include a bit of footage of the Hyundai Ioniq, the original Ioniq EV. And I looked on Hyundai's website, and they didn't have it anymore because they'd got rid of it because it's a model that's no longer produced. So instead, I looked on our server, and I thought we'd lost the footage. My computer said we didn't have any. It turns out it had got moved on the server, but I was able to pull original high-quality B-roll off the server and put it into the video, and it was there. And it took me like 5 minutes to find it. That's much higher quality video, and the result is a much higher production value video than if we just downloaded everything off the internet every time we needed it. Not to mention that every time we download something offline, like if we just uploaded our videos to YouTube and then when we needed to use a portion of our video, we downloaded it again, every time it would be degraded. And if you haven't seen the video by MKBHD, go watch that, because he actually did an experiment. What would happen if I uploaded a video 1,000 times and downloaded a video 1,000 times? And that was very eye-opening. Anyway, we have a lot of video footage, we have a lot of server requirements, and we need to expand that. At the same point, though, Kate Walton-Elliott's server up in Washington State, where she lives, I only said the town she lives in, and she doesn't like me doing that. It's broken, and so we don't have a backup for her right now, and so we need to raise some money and build a new backup for her. Hers is older and it broke, and so we need to get that working. We need a proper backup server here because the one here is not well. In total, it's like tens of thousands of dollars. With the YouTube revenue dropping like a stone, we cannot afford, just off of YouTube channel membership or YouTube ad revenue, to upgrade our server. So we're going to be working with, we're going to try and get some sponsors. We're going to try and do some collabs to try and make that happen. I'm also working on bringing an old computer up online, which is called Icarus. I'll show it to you right now. So this is a computer that I'm working to bring back online. I will show you. It's very exciting. This is a machine sitting in our server rack, and it is going to be a server that we're gonna actually bring up online, and I'll just show you now so you know it's real. This is an actual old school X serve that we're gonna bring online and use as a tape drive ingestion machine. So it will go through, it will connect to our server, and it will pull all of the data off it and put it onto LT09 magnetic tapes that we can then ship off somewhere safe. Because we are in a rural location, because we do not have an in-studio, we don't have a studio in town anymore, because we're saving money, because COVID and so many other things, it's very difficult now for us to make offsite backup copies. And so that's one of the things we need to do this year. And again, like one of those tape drives is, I believe, $6,000 the last time I looked. So I bought this X server using my own money, and I've got it running with, believe it or not, Thunderbolt and the latest operating system, which is Ventura. And this is a computer that was made in 2009. So I'm keeping it running. And so that is part of the experience. So there we go. Yeah, so if you can support us through Patreon, I would really appreciate it. Earlier this year, we actually got to a point where we were able to support everybody's salary except mine. I don't pay myself enough, and I should pay myself more, but that's another issue. I was able to pay everybody. I've been able to pay everybody for the last couple of months using Transport Evolved's Patreon income alone to help pay everybody else, make sure everybody else has in health insurance, make sure everybody else has all of the access to things like retirement if they want to, and all of that other stuff, so that we are properly above board and everything is properly done, and to make sure that we can pay things like insurance, our liability insurance, and all of these other things that you need to have when you own a business. So if you're willing to help us, I would really appreciate it. I could, like I say, if a couple of hundred people who are watching this now who are not Patreon supporters, and I know money is tough right now, so please only do it if you feel able. Anywhere from $1 a month up to 15 or more, it all helps, and it all makes a big difference, and it helps support us. We are not going to be able to make the content we used to because of those aforementioned legislative decisions that are being made in some US states that make travel to a large part of the US either difficult or impossible for us as a team now. And that means we're not going to be able to do a lot of the first drive and ride events that we normally would. And I've already had to turn down at least 2 car companies this year who invited me or someone else on the team to a state where we wouldn't be safe doing it. So We will see. Apparently, LTO9 internal is down to $1,000. I'd love to know more about that. We might have to do some other things differently, but yeah, that is some of the things that we're going to try and do. I'm now going to go through some of your comments, and remember, if you're watching this after the fact, the comments are going to be turned off, so please don't get angry with me. It makes things easier for us. We don't have to go through things. I usually use zip ties and include some in a different color in the bag with a note requesting that they use them to reseal the bag. That's a good idea. Obviously, I prefer not to use zip ties. I'd rather use something reusable, but if they're not doing it properly, then c'est la vie. I don't know if any of you saw this, and I don't know if I can do this safely, so I don't really want to show you my personal photographs. But I do have an image that I can probably show you here. So we just came back from the UK, as some of you will know. And one of the things when we got back was that our cases, when we got back to the UK, or sorry, to the US, some of our cases had been opened by the TSA or someone else, and they weren't properly put back together. So I'm going to show you a picture now of what happened to one of our cases. So, sorry, that's my wife in the other room. Don't think she realizes that we're doing a live stream. She's doing business stuff. So this is one of our gimbals. I'm shutting this door. She's actually in a meeting right now. She's talking to her fellow colleagues, so it's not a proper meeting. But yes, I don't know if you could hear her. I could hear her, so I shut the door. So this here is one of the boxes that came back from our trip, and this is our Ronin RS3 Pro gimbal, right? This is how the box looked when I opened it. And the box was basically they'd taken this bit out, this bit here, and they'd put it back in the case without actually putting it inside the special foam, the foam cutouts. It could have been broken. I've come back from trips before where they've done that. See if I can go to the next photo. This was how one of our tripods came out of the travel as well. They'd taken the tripod head off. They'd left the screws in the case. It's a nightmare. It really is just a horrible, horrible nightmare. So yeah, that was a thing. Question for Nikki: if this is monitored to help with the span. I don't understand the question. If this is monitored to help with the span truck sunrun kits. So I paid for, so that's a really good thing. I paid for the Ford system myself and had that installed. The Sunrun system, Sunrun gave us the unit to test, so it's on press loan, but we had to pay for the installation, which was about $5,000 to have it installed. And I probably wouldn't have had it installed had I not got a review copy, because it's a lot of money. But yeah, that's where we're at. The other thing that people are asking is, are the comments going to stay on? And the answer is no. We still get a lot of hate. So yesterday, and if you follow me on Mastodon, you will know this. We got someone signed me up for multiple right-wing religious newsletters that was spewing anti-trans hate, and they'd signed me up for their emails, and I got like a half dozen of them in the course of 24 hours. They've now all been blocked, but if that was you, I hope you feel good about yourself. It was an annoyance to me more than anything else, but it reiterated why we don't allow comments on our channel. And if you want to comment Follow the way that I just showed you to sign up for the Discord chat room, to sign up for the Mastodon server. Because I think if you have to go out of your way a little, just a little bit, to sign up for Discord or to sign up for Mastodon, if what you have to say is that important, the chances are you're not going to be a dick. Or insert name of some similarly nasty person in that kind of setup. So that's the reason why we do it. Also, Mastodon is a lot easier to moderate because Mastodon is unlike Twitter and Facebook. It's a lot easier to deal with hate there. I mean, I was on Facebook. I don't like Facebook. We have a Facebook account for Transport Evolved. We don't check it very often, but we have it because people wanted us to have a Facebook account. We are considering getting rid of that and just going 100% Mastodon because that's the place we get the most engaging and rewarding engagement. But I was a member of a Facebook group for the F-150 Lightning because I already had an account. And I posted a photograph from some stuff we were doing a while back, and I got nothing but transphobia. And so we left. I was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to deal with hate from other people. I am 44 this year. And I've dealt with hate a large part of my life, and I've dealt with trauma a large part of my life. And if you watched my story, my origin story, you will have seen some of the reasoning behind that and why we did it and where blah, blah. I'm too old to deal with that now. I want to deal with nice things, and I want to make sure the world is a safe place for everybody. So I don't want to waste my energy dealing with hate. I want to use my energy for good. I want to use my energy for helping people, for educating people, for advocating, and to make the world cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter. And I don't know if I answered this earlier, but James had asked if you can edit your toots. That's your Mastodon toots. The answer is yes, you can, as long as you're on a Mastodon server that is 2.0 or newer. It's version 2.0 or newer. Most large Mastodon servers will be kept up to date because that's sensible because of security concerns and everything. But yeah, that's how that works. You do not have any streaming services. You're not going to pay for movies that you already own. You're not going to watch any of my videos anymore because you can't comment. I'm sorry. That's not how this works. You can think it's how it works. I'll tell you this, okay? I'll tell you what is ridiculous and extremely inconvenient is not being able to travel to large parts of the United States because I'm illegal or because I might get in trouble with law enforcement just for existing. And if you're going to be upset about something, be upset about that. Don't be upset about me turning off my comments on YouTube because I don't want to have to deal with hate from people. I don't want to be. I don't want to have to I don't want to have to deal with other people's hatred of me that's based on unfounded BS. And it's the same reason I'm no longer on Twitter, right? There are a lot of apologists in our sector, lots of people who say, oh, we should stand up for Elon Musk because he's doing great things, he's done great things, and EVs wouldn't exist without him. And while there are some good elements to him as a person and the things that he's done, some of the stuff he's come out with lately has just been abhorrent. And I think it's important that as a society we can acknowledge the good that someone has done, but also be able to call them on their back crazy stuff that they've done as well. And that is the way it is. Yeah, and our comments need to be off for our mental health. I mean, and a lot of people have been like, well, you're being a weakling, you're a terrible person, you need to grow a thicker skin. And the answer is, look, I have been an out trans person now for 23 years, right? I mean, I knew I was trans before that, but I've been out as a trans person now for 23 years. I've lived my authentic self for 23 years. I have only had to deal with bigotry, hate, and transphobia in the last 5. really. I mean, I had a little bit of it before then, but nothing major. Nothing to the point that you would wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and have nightmares about people turning up to cart you off in a truck. And there are people right now in the United States, in parts of Europe, Slovakia has gone backwards, parts of Central and Eastern Europe have gone backwards, even the UK, people who are fleeing for their own safety. There was a girl earlier this year who was murdered in the UK by 2 other kids because she was trans. It's not people being special snowflakes. It's people going, hey, this is not healthy for me. It's not safe for me. And therefore I keep myself safe. A good friend of mine, I'm not going to say who it is, but a good friend of mine, and I do consider them a friend, and they're watching this, and I know they're watching this. They're local to me, and they run unofficially. They help queer kids out and queer adults out who are trying to find a new life for themselves. And some of the things that I know that they have had to help people deal with, this is not normal for a civilized society, and I feel very privileged that I haven't had to run into a lot of those. But we have to be kind and nice to people and polite. And when someone is gleefully participating in creating a bad world for other people based on who they are or who they love or how they identify or the God that they pray to or not, there's something very wrong about us as a society. And this Vince person is the reason why we turn the comments off, children. And yeah, I'm going to be honest, right? I've had to deal, and I know the other team members have had to deal with mental health crises this year that we've never had to deal with before. Like, am I safe? And questions about, okay, do I spend money putting this thing on my house or making this change to my house so that I can enjoy it into my retirement? Or do I need to get my house ready to sell? Because I might have to flee in 2 years' time. That is the narrative that's going through most trans people's heads these days. Those of us who are privileged enough to be able to own our own home, which isn't that many of us. I think it's important to note, and look, if it wasn't for the Patreon support that we had been getting, I wouldn't be doing this. I pay myself below minimum wage. I think I paid myself less than $12,000 last year. Closer to 8. I think I paid myself $8,000 last year. And I'm not doing this to be rich or to be wealthy or to be an influencer or any of that stuff. I'm doing this. Well, hopefully you've gone and watched the origin story, but I'm doing this because I want the world to be cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter. I want a better world for everybody. And I genuinely believe that being honest and being authentic and being true to yourself is the important thing. If you want other people to look at their own lives and go, okay, how can I change this? How can I make it better? And so I don't have time to deal with mental anguish caused by people who are insecure about my existence. And I don't believe that I should put myself at risk. And, there's already things that we as content creators do if you are queer or if you are trans. So when I go on a long distance trip, I take my own food and drink with me in the back of the truck in a refrigerator. So I have to spend as little time as possible interacting with people I don't know on the road. I used to be really outgoing. Now I'm a complete and utter introvert. And the reason is that you cannot trust strangers. You cannot trust people you don't know. That is one of the ways I do it. When I drop a car off for Kate, it's probably about a 2.5 hour drive up to her and then back down. I don't drink anything if I can help it, or I try and minimize what I drink on the road because then I don't have to stop and pee. Because when you stop and pee, and there are some nasty, politically nasty places between here and where they live, where I have had issues in the past going into a restroom, where I've gone past a truck on the freeway that's espoused killing people like me. A bumper sticker with a pride flag with blood on it, basically. And there are people who genuinely believe it. So, that is a big challenge. One of my friends in the chat said, I'm just worried if I'll keep the roof over my head. As hate has become more normalized by certain political groups, as kind of the anti-woke thing that Elon Musk is so keen on promoting, expands, it means that people like me, people like my friends, my family, they're all at risk of attacks, of issues. It's one reason why I'm really careful about where I live, about showing where I live. I have cameras all around my house. I'm very public about the fact that I have cameras on my house, because we've had issues in the past. We've lost our mailbox, I think, 4 times now. I think there's somebody locally who's figured out that they don't like us very much, and our mailbox gets regularly taken out, and nobody else on our street's mailbox ever gets taken out. In fact, there's a mailbox literally just across the way, literally a few yards down from us, never gets touched. There's one a bit further back down the road, never gets touched. Our mailbox always gets taken out. And it does kind of make you go, Thank you very much, Michael. Thank you, everybody else. So yeah, you want to support us, become a Patreon supporter, become a YouTube channel member, share, interact with us, allow us to create content like we've been creating. Because and I hate to finish on this negative. It feels like I'm finishing on a negative. So much good. If you're just watching this now, go back and watch the start of this, because there's some great stuff at the very beginning. Cool stuff that we're doing, we're really excited about. But also, this is where we're at as a channel. This is where we're at. And in closing, something I'd forgotten to do, I want to tell you why we don't do a lot of sponsored content. And there's been 2 experiences that we've had recently with folks. The first one was a bike that we had on review. The bike arrived on review, and the company wanted us to say, hey, we're not gonna share anything about it until the review's ready. We were like, no, we really don't want to do that. We unboxed it and there was a problem with it, and we're like, hey, there's a problem with this bike, we need to include this in our review. And they were like, no, we'll send you another one. And then they sent us another one. It was exactly the same. And we're like, okay, look, you've had your chance, we just want to send this bike back. They really didn't like us going, hey, if we give this a review, it's going to be a terrible review. And they were like, no, it has to be wonderful. And we're like, screw you. We didn't actually publish it because we didn't want to get sued. So we're like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore. If there's any hint that the company we've been asked to work with is going to cause us problems, we're just not going to do it. The other is a company wanted us to do a video on a solar backup battery system. And we were like, yeah, that sounds great. We don't do sponsored content. We don't do advertorials. However, if you want to send us a unit, we're happy to do a review of it, and this is what we want. And they just did not get that we were not going to give them editorial control, and we were not going to say exactly what they wanted. So they never sent us it, and we've kind of parted ways. A lot of channels do sponsored content like that. They do content that is very disingenuous and very kind of pre-prepared, and occasionally we get advertisers that we work with that we're really happy with. So that we cannot fault the folks at Energy Sage, we cannot fault the folks at Atmos, and that's one of the reasons we're working with both of them. We are customers of theirs, we've worked with them in the past, they're great, they're trustworthy, we like them, that's why we work with them. But a lot of the advertisers that are now coming out, like those silly earbuds, the Raycon earbuds or whatever else they're called, they're all really kind of so pushy that we go, it's just not worth our time and our energy to do. And we would much rather have an audience that is, established titles. Yeah, that turned out to be a complete and utter walk in the park, right? And so we are in a situation where we have to be very careful about who we work with, because we want you guys to trust us and continue to trust us. And we know that if we start doing, shill for companies and shilled advertorials, that's not how it's going to work. That's not how it works. So if we advertise with a company, it's a company we know and we trust, and we've worked with them before. And every time that we've kind of gone, oh, okay, we'll give these people a go, we've been disappointed. And you can go back, I think there's probably been 3 or 4 times in the past we've worked with a company because they seemed okay and we're like, what could go wrong? And every time something went wrong, either we didn't get any money from them, or we got like $10 and it cost us a lot of time and aftermath. And so that's why we push Patreon so much. The other thing I want to say is, if you become a Patreon supporter, you are effectively, as far as I am concerned, somebody who has a part of the company, an interest in part of the company. When you are a Patreon supporter, I do give you more access to exactly where the money went, what we spent it on, how we did it. I tend not to publicly state it on this channel, but we do meetups when we're at events. Hey, come along and I'll tell you the dollars and dimes. This is exactly where the money went. This is why we spent money on this. This is why we bought a stakeholder. Thank you, Bennett. Yes, you are a stakeholder, Bennett. You're one of the amazing Patreon supporters. You are a stakeholder, and you're not a shareholder, because you're not, but you're a stakeholder. You have an interest, a vested interest in how the company does. And so that's how I treat it. And I'll go, hey, we just had to buy, I can't think of the last thing we had to buy. It's probably the Black Magic last year. Actually, we bought things since then. The last thing we bought. This is the last thing we bought. It's Michael's laptop. It's a PowerBook. It's a PowerBook M2 Pro, I think. It was like, I don't mind saying how much this was, because you can still buy them, right? This is $3,500. We bought this for $3,500. And we bought it for $3,500 because on one occasion earlier this year, like January time, Michael was working on a video for a paying client. That's the other thing. We're trying to do production work on the side for paying clients to try and bring in some extra revenue so we can carry on doing this for you guys. And we were doing some work for a paying client. It was a really amazing video. It took 24 hours. Just think about that. 24 hours to render out the video. It was an 8-minute video, and it took 24 hours to render out. And that ties up his edit machine. It ties up him. And I was like, hey, that's not cricket, mate. We need to buy you a new laptop. So we did. That same video, after we bought that new computer, I think it took 5 minutes to render. Yeah. So hopefully, the next computer that needs to be updated is this machine that I'm talking to you on now. It's a 2017 iMac Pro. It's very long in the tooth, and it started to go wrong. It keeps breaking down. Normally when I'm doing 10, because 10 is really, really hard on the computer. So that's going to get replaced this year if we can raise some funds to do it. But one of the things that, like, again, if you're watching this now, tell me on Discord, tell me in the Mastodon, on the Mastodon server, do you think we should do a Kickstarter to just raise, like, I don't know, raise 20,000 so we can upgrade some of the equipment in the computer closet and the server, so we can do backup, so we actually have a proper backup? Or do we just keep plugging away at Patreon support? Let us know, because I'd love to know what you would like us to do. We try and use machines for as long as we possibly can. That's how we do it. We do have a computer for sale right now that we no longer use because it wasn't up to scratch. It's a very good computer. It's just not up to the kind of the high end level of video editing that we're doing on it. So let us know if you want us to do a Patreon support push, or if you want us to do just basically a Kickstarter or a fundraiser. Do you want us to do like a 10-hour broadcast or something? Let us know. We'd love to know. And it's very nice. Mike said, my Patreon contribution is irrespective of what you do with the money. It only matters to me that it helps you. And it matters to us a lot that you choose to donate a little bit of money every month to help us out. And it really does make a massive difference. We went with the PBS publicly funded model for a reason. And that's we wanted to have as little commercial ties to companies that we cover as possible. The only time... is it the cursed iMac Pro that's for sale? No, it's a 2018 iMac 5K Retina that used to be Erin's animation rig, and she's now got an M1 machine. Again, I upgrade everybody else's machines before I upgrade my own. I just want you to know that. Everybody else on the team gets all of the stuff first, and then we upgrade. Same thing. If there's salary to be paid, everyone else gets paid. If there's any left, I get paid. That's how we do this company. I am not one of these CEOs or executive leaders who kind of takes out $15,000 every month. God, that would be nice. I'm somebody who puts, I try and put everybody else on the team first to make sure that everybody else can live a good way first. And that is really important to me. I want to be a good boss, and I try. Sometimes I get it wrong, but I do try very hard. Anyway, thank you for watching this update. I hope you realize where we're at and what we are doing and why we are doing it. If you are somebody who's upset as to reasons why we are turning off comments, I would only advise that you examine your own privilege. By the way, thank you very much, Russ. I didn't say thank you. That was very bad of me. I only say that, check your privilege. Ask yourself if there are parts of where you live, parts of the country you live in, or parts of the region that you live in, where you could potentially be arrested just for being there. And if that is the case, then maybe you might understand why we are taking the steps that we are doing, while we feel threatened a lot of the time, and why we are not leaving comments on, because it's counterproductive. And in allowing comments like that, in allowing those negative hate-filled comments saying, what is that? Kill it, hang it upside down. That is disgusting. I don't know what that is. Is that a man or a woman? All of that stuff. And I'm sorry if I triggered anybody who was watching, because I know there's a lot of trans people who support this channel. I'm sorry if that was triggering for you. I should have warned you. It's really hard. And also trans, non-binary, gender fluid people, you all could have been potentially triggered by that, and I'm sorry. So that is why we don't allow those comments, and that is why we are at where we are at. Thank you very much, everyone. You are amazing. There's a great video coming out later today. If you are a Patreon supporter, you will see it very shortly from the lovely Kate Walton Elliott. Let me just open up my Trello. I can't remember what it's called. Oh no, I'm in the wrong window. Let me just go to my Trello window here. My clickety-clackety keyboard, and then I'll tell you exactly what it's called. The Trello, if I actually get the right, the old Trello. What is the video called? Calendar Power Up. That's not the name of the video. Oh, the cars that the feds want you to drive. It's a video about the federal tax credits for EVs. So that's going to be coming up later today. It's going to be a great video. And then, of course, tomorrow we have TEN episode 432 or Ecotech 272 if you are somebody who likes watching the sneaky, not transport evolved Kiwi version that we produce for Ecotricity down in New Zealand. And then Sunday Musings, we've got chicken and garden updates. We're going to be talking about the fact that the garden is growing, and we just did our first lawn cut for the year. And Sunday Musing is bigger, always better. And on Monday, we're talking more charging stations this time with the lovely folks at Volta. Thanks very much, everybody. Oh, video's up on Patreon already. Go watch it. Keep evolving.